Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see from my first slide, I'm going to talk today about what I'm calling making MOOCs matter. But before I get on to MOOCs, I couldn't resist beginning also with my favorite dome in Rome, which you see on the screen, just to make the point that the Pantheon dome in Rome is more massive than any MOOC. I wanted to begin by explaining to you, I'm actually not going to talk about the history of Open Yale courses or All Learn, although I will mention them in passing. But I wanted to say more about why I agreed to teach a MOOC. And the reason I agreed to teach a MOOC is really because it's the logical next step for me to take. Because I've been doing online education at Yale now for 13 years. And I've been doing it in large part to try to enhance my own pedagogy and in turn to have, it's actually hard to see this from here, so maybe I should, can I go without the microphone or is that going to create a filming problem? Okay, I'm having a little trouble seeing the screen, so it forces me to have to look down, which I wasn't intending to have to do, but I will do that. So in turn, I've used my Yale courses as an incubator to create online resources for a broader audience. So for me, the two are inseparable. I created 3 online courses for All Learn, the first online program that we did at Yale, and have taught one of those courses. Oh, that would be great. Yes, I would much prefer. So I created 3 online courses for All Learn and have taught one of them, my course called E. Claudia, Women in Ancient Rome, as an undergraduate seminar. And I've done that by flipping the classroom, which is a term you've probably all been hearing about. That positive experience led me to rebuild my on-campus undergraduate lecture courses to incorporate an online forum and other new digital resources. These were, in turn, used by me to develop my concept for Open Yale courses. So I'm just trying to make the point about the way in which my on-campus teaching and my thinking about online teaching really were very much part and parcel of the same thing. These were, in turn, used by me to develop, as I mentioned, my concept for Open Yale courses. 2 years into the Open Yale courses project, my Roman architecture undergraduate lecture course was recorded for Open Yale courses. So in sum, my pedagogical approach has long been that teaching well online and teaching well in person on campus are 2 sides of the same coin, essentially. So I want to divide this into past, that was past, and now present, and then I'm going to talk about spring 2014, and then about the future. So now, for my MOOC, where I am now, for my MOOC on Roman architecture, I am developing original materials based on some I have used on campus, and also adding others that are entirely new. I am using my previously recorded Open Yale courses lectures on Roman architecture to teach an entire semester online, as a MOOC on Coursera. The lectures are chapterized into 15 to 20-minute segments and will be accompanied by new quizzes, assessments, and online discussion that is being created for the course. And I want to use that MOOC to innovate not only in the online venue, but also to innovate in my on-campus course at the same time. So as I began to think about how I was going to structure this and how I was going to bring something new into the conversation, I decided that I would concentrate on what I've ended up calling for myself my 5 new big ideas. Now, 3 of these ideas are deeply embedded in the subject matter of my course, Roman architecture, and to me they're the potentially most exciting things that I'm going to be doing in the course of teaching this next semester. But I'm not going to talk about them today because, like the Romans who favored architectural surprises, I'm saving those 3 for the January launch of the MOOC. I really don't want to talk about them now because they're still in development, and I'd like to wait and share them in January. But since I'm an art historian, and an art historian is nothing without images, as I note. Let me show you a few images just to introduce you to my subject matter and to give you a better sense of what I mean by a Roman surprise. So this is the Pantheon. I'm going to show you a few images of the Pantheon because the Pantheon, as you can see it here, this is a reconstruction of what it would have looked like in antiquity, and you can see it was fronted by a large open rectangular space. Now, if you look at that open rectangular space, you'll see that when you enter into the courtyard, all you would actually see is the front of the temple. You would have seen the columns, and you would have seen the triangular pediment. That's essentially all. And that's all they wanted you to see when you walked in. And what you were seeing essentially was a traditional Greek or Etruscan temple. It looked exactly like those two did. But if you get up closer, and this is, of course, what the Pantheon looks like today, it has in front of it a more recent fountain, a beautiful fountain. You can get a sense, you have to imagine those two colonnades, one on either side. You can, again, get a sense of what you would have seen from the front, which is a series of columns, an inscription, triangular pediment, and then an attic behind. Here is a view, when you get even closer, you see a view of what remains of the pediment. The building is very well preserved. And it mentions the name of the dedicator, Marcus Agrippa, Cos Tertium, consul for the third time, made it. He was the son of Lucius. All of that is specified, but it's very bizarre because we know that this is a building that was built in the 2nd century, and Marcus Agrippa lived in the age of Augustus. So there's a mystery there, of course. And to solve the mystery, I can explain to you that when Trajan and Hadrian rebuilt and commissioned the Pantheon, they decided to honor Agrippa as the first, because he had built a Pantheon himself earlier on that same site. So we see here a view of the doorway into the building, and this is what I meant by a surprise. When you go into the doorway, you actually begin to get a glimpse of the fact that the inside of the building doesn't look anything like the outside of the building. When you go in, what you see is this. You see a spectacular dome that completely transforms your sense of what this building was in an amazing way. And that's the sort of thing that I was trying to express, was just that I would like to save my domes, in a sense, until January and concentrate on other things today. But what I do want to do, I am happy to share two of those big ideas today, or at least what I think are big ideas, because I think they actually speak to essentially what Craig has set out as the theme for today, which is this interaction between, or this importance of concentrating on teaching at Yale and the way in which online teaching can also help enhance that. So I'd like to mention those two ideas that are going to speak to that in particular, because they really do offer additional ways to explore how online teaching can enhance education at Yale while offering Yale educational materials to motivated learners around the world. So again, I'm going to give you two of those points. I'm going to call one 4, since I'm not revealing 1, 2, and 3. So 4, I will teach my on-campus and online courses at the same time in order to create pedagogical synergy globally between the Yale classroom and the world. So in the spring term, I'm going to start the course on the Coursera platform at the same time that I start my course here at Yale, and I'm going to be teaching it for the entire semester in conjunction. I will give live lectures in my Yale campus course, as I usually do, and we'll use the recorded lectures online with quizzes interspersed that I'm building for the Coursera MOOC. The quizzes, though, could also voluntarily be taken by Yale students, and I think actually there might be some who would find that helpful. And they would also have, Yale students would also have access to the kind of critical thinking questions that I'm creating also for the MOOC. And I think that the feedback that we would get from both of those parties could be quite revelatory. And I look forward to seeing what that will be. And I think it could be helpful not only to me personally, but to the progress that we make over time with these kinds of explorations. There will be online discussion forums in both places with some opportunity for voluntary interaction between the two groups. I haven't sorted out exactly how I'm going to do that yet, and I think it will probably be voluntary for students at Yale, but I'm hoping that there will be some who will be interested enough to participate in that. And then as the fifth item, the other one of the two big ideas that I'm talking about today, in order to enhance and broaden the educational experience, I am involving an international team of community moderators who come not only from the United States, but also from countries that were part of the Mediterranean-wide Roman Empire, and will be able to provide timely, on-the-spot observations. I had that experience when I was doing All Learn, and was teaching a course on Roman women. I had an online instructor who was helping me do that. And she was leading the sections, but every so often I would come on and interact. And it was amazing because we had people all over the world taking it at the same time. And if an issue came up, for example, about something in Rome, a detail about something, the person who happened to be related to someone who worked at the embassy in Rome said, oh, I'll go down tomorrow to the Vatican and I'll take a look and I'll get back to everybody. So it does expands possibilities for those kinds of conversations that I think having those not only a broad base of students from different countries around the world, but also community moderators. And some of those community moderators will be Yale alumni, and the online involvement of that group, of those Yale alumni, I think will also benefit, of course, not only the students taking the MOOC, but also the students taking the course on campus at the same time. With regard to the future, I want to make some remarks this afternoon that are my remarks alone. I'm not speaking for the university. This is just my thinking about the future and as I see it now for online education. Having thought about it for so many years and been involved in it in so many ways. And I would just say, first of all, that education has been disrupted off campus and on campus. I think there's no turning back now. Whatever education will be, and none of us know exactly what it's going to be different. Of that I am sure. But I can't help but think of my Romans, because the Romans did exactly the same thing with Roman architecture. They disrupted Greek and Etruscan architecture using a new technology. Their new technology was concrete construction. And through concrete construction, they completely transformed not only Roman architecture, but the entire history of architecture. So I think we're actually on the cusp of something similar to that with regard to education. I think we should always remember Yale's mission. Yale's stated mission is the creation and dissemination of knowledge with which we are all involved. Yale's other mission is to train leaders in all disciplines, including education. And I think there's absolutely no question that we at Yale, in whatever forms it is, have to continue to lead in education. Personally, I think that MOOCs matter because they are the current coin of the realm. And that realm will surely evolve. Who knows what it will be exactly 6 months from now, a year from now. But we at Yale can't shape that evolution without being part of that evolution. So I'm doing a MOOC in part for that reason, to make MOOCs matter as we invent the future of education at Yale and beyond. And I actually hope there are some students in the audience today, student leaders who might want to partner with me on this. And join me in History of Art, HSAR 252 this spring. Thank you.